All right, guys, we got there. Chapter 10, our conclusion. This will be a kind of short lecture. We'll spend some time this week. I'm not really going to have questions for you. What I really want to do between now and finals week is concentrate on a case and really use our discussion board not to look back on articles, but to start discussing things back and forth on the case as we get it up and really kind of brainstorm like you would at work in this environment. So if we're trying to wrap this thing up to the conclusion on what have we learned and what are the takeaways that we've got to get to. You've got to balance your strategy with a precise tactic. A great idea is just that. Without execution and implementation, it sits on the shelf. So you've got to be very precise in your tactics. Recognize those issues that frequently plague good strategy. Recognize that failure to implement. Recognize that you don't have the resources necessary to implement. Recognize that you've stretched too far. Recognize what your competition is going to do. Recognize the regulatory environment. Recognize the changing demographics. Am I starting to sound a little bit like Porter's forces? There's a reason. Those are the issues that can plague a strategy. Those are the issues you take into account, but there are also some of the issues that can steer it the other direction. Strategy and plans are going to fail. But again, with planning, execution, proper implementation, you can avoid a lot of those common failures. Another way of saying your opinion is your opinion is assumed assumptions. If you make an assumption without market input or without data, it's personal bias. The other issue is expect the unexpected. Great plans will go off track for many reasons. They could be bad assumptions. It could be market conditions. It could be inability to execute. It could be that your competitors actually kind of figured out what you were going to do, and they, like you, have a plan B and a plan C and reacted very quickly to your move. So I don't know if really the statement is be conservative more than be prepared. So I would say conservative in this tone means be prepared. Limit your initiatives. Man, I can tell you I've had lists of 80, 90, 100 things. You can't get to all of it. You really can't. You've got to narrow your focus, get the stuff that's going to get you your biggest bang for your biggest buck, and find a balance between short term and long term, between high risk and low risk, so you at least shore up the institution while you're building your long-term success. So marketing department as itself is a team player. They don't just come in from the sidelines and lob a bunch of data at you and lob a bunch of ideas and walk away. It's an integrated strategic operating and financial plan that you ultimately want to get to. So when you get to that point, marketing is involved in every step of the way. We talked about the fact that marketing is also collecting the data and measuring the results and suggesting tweaks and turns and redirections, and already has started planning next year's strategy, next year's executions. So you're constantly involved in the organization. It's not a flurry of activity at budget season and then you do nothing for 10 months. It's ongoing at all times. Do your research. Challenge the internal conventional wisdom. You're going to find a lot of people with a lot of opinions. I've driven home that opinion concept this entire semester. You're going to find a lot of people with a lot of opinions. But what you've got to do is break through that culture of we know best and get to a culture of what does our customer want? What does our customer want? And then as you're doing that, that's when you get that earned role. Healthcare organizations are full of informal leaders. If your organization is not full of informal leaders, then I'll tell you your leadership is not doing their job. Because their job is to develop the informal leadership, because one day they will be the succession. So as you continue to develop that informal leadership, and you can become that informal leadership because you've done the research, you've got solid ideas, you've got them backed up. They're not opinions, they're ideas backed on fact, based on good judgment, and based on what your customers have told you. Last but not least, we're getting down into it. This is the shortest lecture we're going to have because I'm going to come back with a lecture next week that actually focuses on my thoughts on the case, and then we'll talk more about that. But this week, I want you guys to really spend some time reading through the case that I get posted. We're not going to have any other questions. We are focusing on how do we solve these issues and how do we take everything that we've learned and apply it over the course of the next 2 weeks. So, as you do that, did I say be conservative earlier? No, I think what I said was be prepared. But you should be bold. You should be bold. I think I've said it one time, society rewards the risk takers. Be bold, but be prepared. Be balanced. Come up with ideas. Use your critical thinking skills. Last 2 things I want to leave you on just a plain old-fashioned didactic lecture here. Your opinion is just that. It's an opinion. Back it up with data, and it becomes an idea. It becomes a strategy. It becomes a tactic. It becomes a successful tool to advance your organization. And last but not least, focus on your customer. Try to think like them. Try to find out what they need. Try to find out what they want and adapt. Because if you don't, someone will, and they will disrupt your world. We in healthcare are guilty of always thinking we know best for our patients and for our customers, and we couldn't be more wrong. We have to open our ears, open our eyes, and find out what our customers want. Those are our patients, those are our visitors, those are the payers, those are the businesses in our community that are facing skyrocketing healthcare insurance claim expenses. That is the federal government. And also, that is our community as a whole. We do have the information and access to information that allows us to improve the overall health status of our community. That's what we have to do. That's how we solve the healthcare issues that are facing this country today, is we get out there and we're proactive and we get into the preventative game. And we actually get out there and make a difference in those things that are killing us. Childhood obesity, smoking, a lot of those public health things that for years hospital folks would go, oh, no, that's public health department stuff. I don't do that. When I went to graduate school, it was in the College of Public Health. We were hospital administration. Those public health guys, what were they going to do? They were public health guys. They're out there trying to solve the ills of the world. And guess what? The ills of the world are the issues that are driving what we need to change. Our customers need us. They need us to hear them. We need to adapt. We need to change. And there is no more exciting time to be in healthcare. Am I wrong in saying it was Socrates? It was one of the Greek guys that said, may you live in interesting times. I can think of no more interesting time than where we are at today. an exciting time. And as each of you go out there and start building your careers in healthcare administration and healthcare marketing or office management or whatever you're going to end up doing with your degree, keep in touch. You've got my email. Keep in touch. Let me know how you're going. And, one of the things that I love to do is be a sounding board for someone as they're blowing their career up and moving along. So I hope these tools have helped you this semester. I've had a great time. And let's move on to a case study and apply what we learned. Thank you very much.